Hello and welcome to a Woman on a Mission podcast, the online destination for women and men who want to create a life that they truly love, one without limits, one with more balance, more self-belief and endless possibilities for the future. I'm your host, Deborah Craig. I'm an intuitive life mentor and hypnotherapist, and every week I'll bring you guest experts, individuals with lived experience, and of course, I'll share client case studies so that you can experience some of the best ideas and solutions to help you solve real life problems so that you can live a happy and healthy life and of course become the best version of yourself every single day. You see, I've found that to reach our full potential in our careers, relationships, our health goals, and in life, we must take a look at what's going on the inside of ourselves, as this is where the change really starts. I hope you enjoy the podcast, and remember, leave feedback and comments so that I can continue to bring you content and guests that truly help you become the best version of yourself so that you can live a life that you love. Enjoy the show. Hi, and welcome everyone to this week's episode of the podcast. So today I have an amazing expert in a field that I know I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for planning and some level of goal setting. And that's the topic, the hot topic of the week. So today I'm going to be sharing some client experiences, some personal experiences, and hearing from our guest expert on his own experiences and client work in relation to goal setting and planning, and the importance of that for you to really become all you can be in life and to realize your true potential. So the focus for today is going to be about being strategic in your life and how to be more effective in what you are trying to in your businesses and personal life. What is it you really want? And let's talk about how do you get there. So I would like to welcome on my amazing guest, Tony Mazzotti. Please come on and join us, Tony.
Thank you, Deborah. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. You can pop your camera back on. And Tony is a business growth expert. Hi, Tony. Great to have you here. Hi there. So Tony helps businesses increase their profits through his business coaching, one-to-one and group. That's a very quick overview of what you do, but I would love you to share with the audience today just a little bit more about what it is you do, how you actually help people, whether it's in their personal experiences and in their businesses, and what you sort of offer to them in a model that takes them through their journey. I'd love to hear a bit more about that.
Thank you, Deborah. I think first and foremost, let's just stop. So that's the first word of advice I would give to everybody, is just stop and take a step back and ask yourself, and I recommend this to my clients every day, take 10 minutes and ask yourself, is what I'm doing achieving what I want to achieve? And if you get a positive answer, great, you're on the right track. If you find yourself complaining or moaning or finding excuses, then you know you need to do something about it. Now, it follows on from that if you're not happy, then what's going to make you happy? And then we come up against a really big question. Do you actually believe that that is possible? So whether it's business or life, that is the starting point for me, is to let's have a discussion about what you want, what you're in control of, and let's get it in writing, because it's scientifically proven that anything that's in writing is far more likely to succeed rather than becoming a burden inside our minds where it challenges us constantly.
I love that. I think one of the things that I picked up, I mean, lots of things in there, but one thing I really liked was when you mentioned about what's within our control, because quite often we assume that we can't do certain things, or we need certain things in our life. Maybe we need more money, maybe we need more support, maybe we need more knowledge, and maybe we do. But actually, there'll be something in there that allows us to move forward, that we can control, that means we don't need all these extra things that we assume that we might need to move forward.
You're absolutely right. And one of the first things that we have to establish is, what can we control? Once we've answered that question, it then becomes important to get rid of everything else, because if you agree that you can only control certain things, then let's figure out what those things are. Now, the first hurdle that most people come across, and it was a real eye-opener for me, because there was this constant theme cropping up again and again and again. And most people will not allow themselves to believe in themselves.
So true.
They have so many interferences going on in life, and they have so many limiting beliefs, and it's another conversation where they come from. But it really stops them from admitting that they want something different than they're currently getting. And the moment of enlightenment for me is when we accept that we're actually hindering ourselves to imagine what we could have, because we don't believe in ourselves. And that is a major turning point in business and in life, in my opinion.
Completely agree. And the thing that you said there about what we imagine we can have, I'm a Bob Proctor fan, and I always remember one of the quotes that he would say is, if you can see it in your mind, you can create it in your reality. It just takes you to take the action steps at the beginning to take you where you want to go. I think what you were alluding to there is, through fear or sort of unhelpful beliefs, we sometimes can't even imagine what it is that we would love to have, or we don't dare go to that place, because it puts us into a place of lack and perhaps feeling unsatisfied with where our current results are, whether it's in our personal lives or in our business life. And not a lot of people really want to do that, certainly not on a regular basis, because it takes courage and vulnerability to decide, I'm not as happy as I could be, or I'm not as content as I would like to be. So that means,
and therefore we put up with what we have.
Exactly. And what we're saying today is the whole point is be brave to stop and think about, what is it I really want? Where is it I would like my life to be? And okay, I accept that's not where I am right now. And I accept, I'm grateful for where I've come from and what I have in the moment. But unless I map a plan out, is the next phase of my life going to happen to me, or is it going to happen for me? Because I experience with a lot of clients that they arrive at me, they feel full of chaos, life's crazy busy, they're going here, they're going there, they've got their mum to deal with, or a meddling friend, or they're involved in other people's business. And in actual fact, if they were able to step back from the noise and do what you said, stop, is this chatting on the phone for an hour, wasting time getting angry about other people, is this task that I'm doing actually take me where I want to go? Or if I was to use my time more effectively, could I actually map out a journey for a future that I want?
Yeah, it's really interesting what you're saying there, because it coincides very much with my 4C steps that I've created. So we all start off in chaos. And from chaos, it's important to go to clarity. And once you've got clarity, you can start to see what is possible, and you move on to the control phase. And then from control, that gives you the last C, which is choice. And another thing that you said, which was so important, I believe that I talk a lot about making the decision. And once you've made the decision, you instinctively know when is the right time. when you've decided that I want to leave the past in the past, however, this is the future that I am going to create, that is the moment that you can take action. And as coaches, we cannot help people who don't make the decision. It is not possible for us to make it on their behalf. But if people understand that once they make the decision, they are unbeatable with the right help, then that shows you just how much they can achieve.
I totally agree. Just as you're speaking there, it's making me think of a common phrase that I hear with clients that approach me to do the work that I do. And you're talking about that decision. And when they join my programs, working with me, it's usually at that point where they've made the decision that at the very least, they do not want their life to stay the same as it's been for the last however long. The thought and the fear that another 12 months is going to roll by and be exactly the same has got so uncomfortable that now is the time to actually make that change. I wonder if that's familiar to any of your own client work?
Absolutely. So with clients, we talk about the formula for change, and we talk about getting to a point where dissatisfaction is so great. That in itself isn't enough, but you have to get to a point where the dissatisfaction is so great. And then as coaches, what we add is the first steps that they need to move forward, and we help them with their vision. And when those three things are greater than your resistance, that is when you move forward. So basically, we like our comfort zone, even if it's not that comfortable.
Because it's familiar and we know how to handle it.
Absolutely. So we choose to stay in that familiar area rather than up until the point that we get so tired of it that, right, now is the time to act.
Totally agree. And it resonates a lot with the work that I do because, I talk to clients a lot, and anyone that's listening in these podcasts will hear me, talking about it a lot. The brain loves the familiar, even if the familiar isn't pleasant. It's because we know how to handle it. The experiences we've had before have told us how to manage it and cope with it. So even if it's really uncomfortable, it's sometimes that old better the devil I know than the devil I don't. But it's holding us back. But it's completely holding us back to a life that we can create, that we actually love. Now, when I talk about a life that you love, it doesn't mean that it's going to be happy clappy every minute of every day. That's not what I'm talking about. It's about feeling that I'm adding value somehow in my life. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean a business. That can be in many capacities. But to wake up feeling that I'm fulfilled each day and I have healthy relationships in my life, none come without challenges. It's never going to be like that, but I know how to manage that because I've worked on myself. So that's what I mean when I talk about a life that I love. And to get there, it has taken not only inner work on myself, but a significant degree of planning and setting goals for myself to keep moving forward. So I would ask just your own opinion and your own sort of experiences. What do you experience, whether it's yourself or your clients, about their lives? Like what are they being limited to through their own lack of planning? Like what's happening for them?
It's all to do with what you mentioned about opening up your mind and accepting the reality of possibility is much greater than you allow yourself to believe. And so the very first step, because you're absolutely right, whether it's business or personal life, you have to align the two. You cannot have a successful and unhappy business owner, or rather you can have them. There's a lot of them, but doesn't it make much more sense to have a happy, fulfilled, successful business owner? So you can only do that if you align your personal life with your professional life. So the very starting point with all of my clients is, first of all, let's write it down. Secondly, let's just imagine, so we always come away from the business, which goes back to the stop point at the beginning. Secondly, let's set the rules of the game. What if I told you and guaranteed you that you couldn't fail? What would you imagine in those circumstances? And they're the things that we want to write down, not the everyday new house, new car things. What really excites you? Just imagine there are no boundaries. And I promise you that is so empowering.
100%.
People say to me, are you sure? Yeah, don't limit yourself whatsoever. And then we go about, right, this is a different path that you have to take. That's the most important understanding, that actually, if I want those things, I'm going to have to divert towards them, not away from them.
Exactly. And you said something there which just struck a chord with me. When we think about people, those people, we've all been there and our phases of being there still ourselves, when we don't plan or set our own personal goals or business goals. You mentioned there that, you know, you might find that somebody becomes unhappy even though they're successful. What are the other types of things that they show up and present to you? Like what are they saying? What types of things are clients saying to you about their lives that bring them to this point of, please help me?
What's really interesting, and this has taken me a while to figure out, because when I started, I thought it was about telling people how to run a business, and it's not about that at all. There are some areas, marketing is one of the biggest areas that people are lacking in understanding, and that is absolutely understandable, because who teaches us about marketing? So that's a gap in their knowledge, and what I explain is that it's not easy, but it's simple to fill, because you have to learn from others, you have to outsource, or you have to become an expert yourself. What is the key, though, is actually getting started on that journey, is understanding, well, you know, marketing is a vast subject. What do I want to get from it? So when you accept that you're in control of what you want to achieve, that's when you start to really make traction, because, and this is the realization that I've come to, people almost need permission to dream. So
Completely.
giving you permission, you can achieve that. You can fill the gap of marketing. You can become a good salesperson even if you hate it, because you're in control of how you do it as an individual. And guess what? That's what people want. They want you as an individual, not as a name on a door.
Completely agree. And it reminded me, actually, as you were talking there, about, just from a corporate perspective, about one of my clients who had this dream of having this really high up job. And it was just a dream. She talked about it. She thought about it. She waited for something to come up that was fitting for her. But here's the thing. The time that she actually joined working with me, she hadn't really realized that that was just something off in a fantasy. She was doing nothing about, not so much reviewing the job coming up, but actually about preparing for being in the job. So her lack of preparation for this significantly higher role in another organization was actually stopping her feeling confident enough to even apply as the opportunities were coming up. So her biggest issue actually was she didn't have the belief or the confidence, or she hadn't mapped out the fact that she needed to speak up more in meetings. She needed to put herself forward for more projects. She had to become the person, the version of who she was. That version of her had to come up and start to match where she was trying to go. And when she had that light bulb moment, it was like, aha, here's why I keep stopping myself, because this piece here, I'm not doing anything about it. I'm not planning it in, and I'm not taking risks on myself.
Yeah. So the person you have to become that's what planning is about, is realizing, okay, this version of me has got me so far, but in order to get me further, I need to become a different version. And this is a true story. So my company, as a test and measure, would advertise the exact same position, just as an exercise. One had a salary of $250,000 and one had a salary of 25,000. One had 20 times the number of applicants than the other. Guess which one it was?
Tell us.
The one with the lower salary.
Because people only believe that that's what's achievable.
Precisely, exactly the same job. There was only one applicant for the higher salary because only that one person trusted himself to have a chance.
That is quite a profound story, actually, and interesting that they're both identical. And yet, if we only believe, in fact, I think this is another Bob Proctor one. I obviously listened to a lot of him and followed a lot of his stuff, but he talks a lot about, tell me the most you've ever earned, and that's the most you'll ever earn, unless you become the version of you that takes you to the next level, because that's the current level of your results. So unless you shift and change and dream bigger and plan for that, you'll always stay at that cap that you've got, and you become 100%. Comfortable in that.
So I was listening to Bob Proctor as it happens as I was driving, and it's actually dangerous sometimes to
yes.
It stopped me in my tracks. And one of the other things that he said is that the day I realized the less I worked, the richer I became, was the day that I became seriously rich. So what he meant by that was that it's nothing to do with me as an individual, what I do, it's what I am that is the crucial bit. It's, I don't have to do the work. I just have to believe that I can be on a higher level. And that is life-changing for sure.
Definitely. And it gives you that, it gives you that impetus to dream bigger and actually map out, what is it I want to achieve? Like, where do I really want to go? And then next to that, and here's my tip for you all, is thinking about, well, who do I need to become to get there? Because let's say, for example, you really dream of this promotion, say you're in corporate, or you dream of getting into a new industry. You might say something like, look, that'll never happen for me. There's just no way, or I'm just never going to be able to do that. I don't have the experience. But here's the thing, if you can control some of it, which is perhaps learning something new, being exposed to new things, putting yourself forward and sort of energetically aligning with where you're trying to go, then eventually it will happen. It might not happen overnight, and it might not happen without some other compromising or sacrifice, but it will happen if you just have a goal and a plan to get there.
100%. So you might not believe this, but I was one of the worst skeptics about 15 years ago. And then I read a lot of Brian Tracy, who spoke about creating a plan, adding detail to it. So it's not enough to want a new car. You have to go into the dealership. You have to choose the color. You have to choose, do you want leather interior or with piping or without? And so I put together this plan as a skeptic, and I promise you that the color was different of the car, I must admit. But every single thing that I wrote in that plan came about, including moving house closer to the children's school, within walking distance of the office, the car that I wanted. So that is a real life story. It's not made up.
No, and it just shows that if we focus on where we want to go and not trying to give any energy to what we're trying to get away from, so focusing on the bits we don't like, if we could turn our attention and focus on the forward trajectory, then we will find solutions. Our brain's brilliant. It will help you find solutions and ideas if you're pointing in the right direction.
Yeah.
There was something,
Sorry, that's precisely why you need a plan, because a plan and goals act as your compass, and they get rid of interferences, because we have so many interferences in our lives that we have to push them aside. And that's what a written plan does. It gives you that compass to head towards.
100%. And if you get, I know you gave me a great story for yourself, but do you have any other sort of client experiences or situations where you saw the clear outcomes of the change that's happened from planning and goal setting?
100%. My biggest celebration for my client has only just recently happened. And it started in a really tough place. He admitted his back was against the wall. He was fighting on a daily basis to keep his business open. And one day it had got so bad that I was really concerned for him. I'll be honest, I didn't think it was going to hold out. And then he said, look, let's sit down and make that plan that you spoke about, because I'm going to tell myself what I accept is going to happen and what I don't accept. And, it doesn't always happen the way we want it to. Mm-hmm. This week, he got the biggest contract of his commercial life.
Wow.
That not only has saved his business, has saved himself, and all of a sudden, he's now really into planning the next phase.
And I love that you said there. I love that. That's a fantastic result, Tony. So big well done to you supporting him and the outcomes that the client, but you've just hit the nail on the head with, he made a decision, right? It was so uncomfortable. I mean, it was like, back to the wall. It could have all just gone pear-shaped at any moment, but he decided to bet on himself one last time, to take a shot on himself and to figure out this planning. And lo and behold, there we are. Not only has it moved his business forward, so I'm sure he had some goals, right? Because this is what I find with clients. They have some goals that they think they want to achieve, but by making the changes along the way, they achieve so much more, because the results end up so much bigger, because they're seeing the change and they're embracing it. So therefore, more opportunities and experiences are actually happening because of that first change.
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, he was tested along the way. But when you open your eyes, you see the opportunities that you couldn't see before.
100%.
So yeah, 100%. He is a real shining light to people who have any doubt, because as we said, he decided that outcome.
I love that. And I like the fact that you said there about his eyes were opened. I talk a lot with clients. So for all those that listen to my podcasts or see anything on the things that I do, I talk about this analogy of going up a mountain. So at the start, down at the bottom, I focus on helping people get more balance, more centered. And that's where we're talking about the goals and being able to think clearer and more strategically in any part of life, so that they can then build that belief system within themselves that, right, I can do this. They build their confidence, they take the right actions. And then when they get to the top of the mountain, I relate that to, when you know yourself, if you've been up the top of a hill and you look out and you think, what I could see at the bottom of the hill was okay, but once I got to the top, oh my goodness, look how far I can see. That's what's available to me. That's my opportunities. And what you're talking about there resonates so closely with my own thinking, that once people slow down, assess where they're at, make a plan, find out the gaps and start taking the slow steps forward. It's not a marathon, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And then move forward strategically, they can start to see their own growth. And I always talk about how you get to the top of one mountain and it doesn't finish there. You don't go all the way back down to climb again, but you just start at that point and climb another higher one, because your mind is so expanded to what's available to you now, which is completely different to where you were at the start.
So true. So true. And if people allow themselves to believe, then it's theirs as well. It's not just for one. This isn't by chance. This isn't luck. And I was just so grateful that it happened at the right time, because he was tested to the limit. And so, don't think it's easy, because it absolutely isn't. You will be tested at every turning point, but it's that conviction that carries you through.
100%. And we were talking about the different tips that we can share. There's a couple of things that came into my mind. So I loved your stop and just assess. Is what I'm doing right now actually going to take me to where I want to go? I love that one. I also wanted to share I share this with clients a lot. When it's chaotic and you feel like your head is just full of stuff, just get a piece of paper and a pen and start brain dumping. Just get it out your head and just get it onto a blank piece of paper. See, once it's out, you'll feel like a massive weight off your shoulders. And then you can start strategically prioritizing. Is this right now that it needs to happen? Is it the kids due to get picked up from school? Well, yeah, you better go and get them. That is a priority. What is it, to get paint to paint a room in 3 weeks' time? It's probably not imminent today. So let's get it out of your head so that you can get some clarity. And that then takes you forward to the planning and moving forward more strategically. So that is my little tip for the day for the audience. But Tony, please feel free to share anything else that you think could really help people just get off the starting line at the moment.
It's quite an unceremonious phrase, brain dump, but it's absolutely right. You just feel unburdened. I think I'd like to share one of the best bits of advice which falls into this is to get people to start with the end in mind. So imagine yourself at a crossroads in life. You've got several roads in front of you. You've got to choose the right path for you. Once you've chosen that, it doesn't matter all the distractions, you know where you're heading. And that's the best bit of advice, is just imagine what you want from life and from business and choose that path.
I love that. And then it's a case of thinking to ourselves, what is today one tiny step, even in the madness of my life, if it's chaotic and busy, but if I know where I want to go, what would be one thing that I could actually do today? Now, and I say this to clients a lot, it might even just be, say they're looking for a promotion or they're looking to career change and it's so overwhelming, they do nothing. So I just say to them, okay, well, how about today you just go and find your old CV? Don't do anything with it. Just go and find it, bring it to the forefront and just look at it. That's it. That's all you've got to do for today.
So I use a mathematical sum, improve by 0.036 every day. And by the end of the year, you'll have improved by 36.6%. That is not massive, but it's much, much more than nothing.
Totally agree. I'm actually working on something for my own business just now. And in the past, I would have saw writing an email, a sequence of emails for something that I'm working on. There's like 7, maybe 8 in it. And in the past, I would have put that off and been so overwhelmed. It's 8 emails. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. But now the way that I operate is so different. I just have it at the top of my notepad, 3 things that I'll work on each day. That's it. I've got a huge list, but there's 3 things that I know with the diary that I have that are actionable. And I've decided to take 1 email per day. So I now know that I don't need to think about how do I make space for a whole day to work on these emails, which I probably wouldn't do because I'd have friends on in the background. I'd get distracted. It would be probably less productive. And now when I'm up early, I just say to myself, right, just do one a day, just one. So in 7 days a week, you'll have the whole sequence that you're looking for. So I hope that people that have been listening in have been able to pick up on our little cues, on the tips, the ways of thinking. It's as much about your thought processes and your beliefs as it is about the physical writing a plan. But trust me, it will stay as a dream if you don't actually put a plan in place and figure out one tiny action that you can take each day to take you forward. So I have loved having you on, Tony, today. It has been so good. I could wax lyrical about this topic all day long. It's so close to my own heart. If anyone out there that's listening has a business and they are looking for business coaching that will actually scale their business with more ease, then Tony is definitely your man, because I've worked with him before, so I can highly recommend him. Tony, what would be the best way for someone who's listening that wanted to reach out to you to hear more about what you do and to maybe make contact for a consultation?
So if on LinkedIn, just search for me, Tony Mazzotti, double Z, double T. There's only one of me, apparently. So yeah, on LinkedIn or Facebook, and yeah, just Google me, and that will get you all the usual channels. That'd be great to hear from people.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And yeah, no doubt I'll be probably having you on again at some point in the future, with maybe more depth in behind this subject, because I think it's really, really important. So I'll just sign off now and thank everyone for tuning in and listening. I hope you found it helpful. And again, thanks for Tony coming on today and sharing your expertise.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye-bye, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you've taken away something valuable, even a golden nugget that will help you move forward with your life so that you can become the best version of yourself and really have that life that you love. So I will see you back here every Tuesday. A new episode will be released, same time, same place. And if you want to sign up so that you're notified when these new episodes are live for you to listen to, then all the details will be in the description. So thanks again, and I hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.